Hi everyone, my name is Heather and I'm the person behind Happy Puppy Truffles. Today I wanted to share with you guys a fun origami project that you can do, kind of more origami craft I suppose, but kind of combining some common origami project pieces like boxes and the origami medallion so that you can make your very own treasure box. And I just added some little accents on the edge here, and inside we've got lots of little medallions to serve as jewels, or these are more coins I suppose, but you could also do lots of different colors to do different things if you wanted to. And it's just a fun little hinged box that's made using slightly different sizes, and then there's a little clasp kind of thing going here, a really simplified version, so that you can close the box just like so, and then you get a nice little completed treasure box. So I thought I'd show you guys how I did this today, and I'm just going to be showing some of the steps with some regular origami paper, but I did use, to kind of give you guys an idea of what I used here, I used Brazil paper for the box base, and then for the accent sections there I used some taunt paper, and I had the yellow excuse me, the yellow or orange series here. I use those for the accents, and to be honest, like some of this here is pretty cutting it to the edge here, and you might want to have something that's a little thicker if you think you're going to be opening it over and over and over again. And then for the medallions inside, I used that cool 100 yen store double-sided metallic paper in both silver and gold, and it has that nice background that's red, so it gives a really cool effect. And then for this inside box, I just used a piece of origami paper. You could leave it open. I just thought that'd be kind of hard to fill full of coins, so I put a piece in here to kind of serve to make it kind of a little taller here. But so I'll just show you guys the things I did to make this. And the nice thing about this kind of a project is you can really do it in any size, and kind of play around with the paper you have. Because I was using Brazil paper, my paper started off with being 30 by 30.5 by 30.5, and to be honest, I just kind of folded it up to see what kind of dimensions I'd get from that, and saw that, you know, the size of what I could be making if I wanted to have a good box, beginning box starting point was 10.6 about. So basically I'm using paper that's 30.5 by 30.5, and I've shown you guys how to make a box of any size with any size square piece of paper, and when we do that with the math equation we wind up making the paper so that it's the perfect size. I actually worked a little differently this time, where I have the paper, I'm folding to make it work, and I'm getting a little bit of overlap or a little not overlap when you do this. So if you are using double-sided paper, you might want to take care, because some of the inside might show white and that might not be very cool looking, so kind of see if you can maybe find some paper. Old grocery bags work really good for this and stuff because it's all brown, so if you wanted to use that, it could work good too. But the dimensions that I'm looking for basically is that I want to have something that is 15 centimeters wide this way and 10.6 centimeters this way, and then the height for the base is I went with 5.3, and then for the depth of the lid I went for 2.5 centimeters, and so that's just for the lid part, otherwise the dimensions are the same. So I'll show you guys here what we have first with everything. I'm just going to use some paper I had, and unfortunately I didn't have all the same colors, so we're going to have a box that is got a dark brown base and a light brown top, and then I'll make the green for the interior. So we'll work first on the bottom part, so I'll use the darker brown. And this is the paper that I have. It's just the same size as my Brazil paper, which is 30.5 by 30.5. I'm just going to start off here by first having my paper folded in half both ways diagonally so that I know where my center is. And then you will need to have a ruler so that you can kind of mark off the dimensions so that you know where to fold everything. And so I can just use a pencil and my ruler here to mark off, like I said, my dimensions were 10, one was 10.6, so I want to do 5.3 right there in the middle, and then mark 0 and 10.6 here. So those are 2 points where I'll fold. And then the depth of my box on the bottom is going to be 5.3. And I'm going to go one more time. I'll do the same thing on this side too. And you should find that when you do this, this all should add up pretty good because of the way I've done everything. But I'm just going to be pinching and folding in half right where I've got that line. And I'm going to just do that for all of these. And you want to try to keep it, you know, as accurate as you can. This one, because it's the first dimension I worked with, you should find that these almost come evenly to the points here with all this. So might be off by a little bit, but that's okay. So I'll fold all these first just to give me a base to work with. And then this way I decided for it to be 15. You can decide, of course, what size dimension you want everything to be. It doesn't have to be this size, but you do then, of course, want to keep your depth the same though. So 5.3 again, and 5.3. I'll do the other side too. And you'll see as I fold this what I mean by having some white left over in some places that might not be very attractive to the way you want things to look. You can keep that in mind. If you're using regular paper, you like paper that's got the color all the way on both sides, you won't run into this problem. And I do really think using something thick like Brazil paper works really nice for the base of the box, just because it makes a really sturdy, nice box. You'll see when I do this, that this, especially making it this large, winds up being just a little flimsy because it's just regular old origami paper. But once you get all these folds, then I'm going to go ahead and reverse them when necessary. So I know this is the side of my box, and this one part stands up, so I can bring this in, and then this becomes the edge of my box here. And then I can, if I want, I can just go ahead and smooth that out. I'll do the same thing on this one too. And then this is a good time, if you want, you can go ahead and glue some things down. Just because with this, especially the stronger you want it to be, you know, you probably definitely want to have some glue on it just to keep it. And when I was using the Brazil paper, I had to glue things down or it wouldn't stay together as well as I wanted it to. It had a tendency to kind of pop open. You can use some clips, some laundry clips and things like that overnight to keep things so that the glue really holds and keeps its shape. That's what I did with mine so that it would look nice. So I've got those two sides folded down, and then over here I want to create a hinged diagonal crease. Now because my paper isn't quite exactly the right size, it's okay though, but I'm just going to, you'll notice this isn't a complete square, but we're still going to do the same thing. I'm going to create a diagonal line that goes through here, and I can just line up this little crease and the outer edge by pulling up and getting that to line up, and that'll give me the diagonal crease that I need here, just as if I had a full square there, like when we make normal boxes. But in this instance I don't, but that's okay because I could just go ahead and line it up still and crease it down, and I still get the same results of being able to make this part pop in and finish off. So I've got those hinged creases, and on one of these sides I'm going to go ahead and put some glue because I can make this part be the front part of my box. And this part doesn't need to be popped up to make a hinge or anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and use what I've got here and kind of pull everything in so that I can make a finished edge. And like I said, I put a little bit of glue too so that I can really secure it. You can see how there's a little bit of white left over then on the inside here. That's okay. but you do get that when you use origami paper. So I've got that part completed. Now this back part I'm going to be using to hinge with the lid, and I don't want to glue anything yet because I'm going to need to add a new secondary like edge to this up here so that this can extend and fold down and serve as the connection between the other part. So we'll be just doing the exact same steps that we just did with the base then with the lid, only this time then we want the depth to be a little less. Before, you'll remember the depth was 5 centimeters. It's a nice deep box. In this case, I'm going to make it just 2.5, so it's going to be half the depth that I've used before. But I'm still going to follow the same things. I'm going to use the same dimensions. In my case, I'm doing it 10.6, so I'm going to find 5.3 as my center, mark it off. And here, still 15, so 7.5 is my center, and I'll mark these 2 points off. And then for here, I'm going to have the 2.5 centimeters be the point that I'm marking here. Now I'm going to have a lot of extra paper here because of the way that I'm using this kind of paper that's bigger than what I need. And we're just going to deal with that and fold it up so that it goes into the project and we don't have to worry about it then. So I'll just kind of mark these and fold, and I'll show you guys, I'll go ahead and kind of fast forward here and show you guys what things look like as I try to put everything together after making my preliminary creases. So I had all these preliminary creases, and I've already folded down the 2 sides on the narrow edges here so that you can see here I'll have these 2 sides pop up to make the edges here. And then I just want to put in the diagonal creases like I had done before. In this case, because there's extra paper here, I'm going to actually be folding 2 layers of paper. And normally you wouldn't do that, but I'm just going to be putting it here, and we're going to put it on this last one right here, the second square. So I'll fold up just the same steps still, just bringing the edges together, making a diagonal crease, and that way this part can fold over and tuck in and create the completed lid. So I'll do the same thing over here. Your creases should have created 2 squares. We're doing it from the second one here. And regardless of what paper you've got there, you still want to do the same thing of making a nice little diagonal crease there between everything. This side too. So I've got those parts started, and then I can just kind of collapse everything to make my box. Now one of these again I can go ahead and secure with some glue, and the other I'm going to leave open because I'm going to be attaching it to the other side. Now this does really leave you with a lot of extra paper, but again, this is just if you don't want to have to bother cutting or reusing a different size paper. You can just use the same size paper this way, and you just deal with having a little extra paper. And in this case, it's actually nice because it winds up eliminating the white that we have to deal with when things are a little bigger. So this is a nice beginning here. We get a good start to everything. And then, like I said, I'm going to connect this to the bottom part. And when I do this, what I'm going to be winding up doing is taking this whole tip and sliding it in here. And it's going to be trying to match up here so that we can create a new edge and connect with the diagonal creases that we have in here. Now, I've already got an edge decided here, and that part's fine. I want this first part to come up right to this line because this is the same as the whole bottom part. But then the extra that I want to do on the other side is going to be this new length, width, which is almost half. So I just want to try to find a good spot here to crease off everything so that it'll connect. And let me see if we can kind of get it lined up here. You can kind of see how it's going to come through right there and right here. and I'm going to be basically creating a crease that lines up with this new edge here. And so if you want, you can kind of get it together to put the crease. You can use a ruler, you can kind of play it by ear, just whatever you want to do to create a new edge here so that we can get things started. So I've kind of got that marked off as my new edge here. And then we can kind of try it out again. If we put this in, it should be able to line up pretty nicely there. You want to make sure that that edge lines up with the edge of our box lid there. Go, like so. And then we're going to be pushing backwards there too. Make sure I get this crease the right place there. Crease with that edge there. And create that crease. And if you want, we can put some glue in here too to kind of secure it. You can see how this really kind of creates not a very attractive inside box, really. That's one of the reasons I kind of used the paper that's got color on both sides, and it gives you a chance then to, you could put that like layered piece inside too so that you can have things standing a little taller. But you see how you've got now this nice kind of lid design going with everything. And then I can just go ahead and work from here to add the accents like I've had on my other box. And like I said, if you wanted to put the interior piece in here like I did, I just made mine a little more than the lid. I made my depth 3 centimeters if you're interested in doing it that way. You just do the same steps again, but you follow to make 3 centimeters deep, and then I put that in here to help kind of make things look a little better. So let me show you guys how that looks once it's in here, and then we can go ahead and do some of the accents too. So this is sort of the insert piece that I've made here, and it just fits nicely inside, and that way you can have kind of a little higher level of things to go with everything. But that's just sort of one little bit to it all. And then we can just go ahead and make the accents that I was talking about here. And with the accents, I just went ahead and used some paper that was for the little corner pieces and for the medallions too, or the coins. Both of those, I used paper that was 7.5 by 7.5 centimeters. So both of them used the same size paper. And then I just attached them to create different parts to it. I'll have a link throughout in the description that reminds you how to make a medallion if you need to be reminded how to make that. It's part of the Kusadama medallion, and you can make those, like I said, with the 7.5 by 7.5 centimeter. That's basically a 15 by 15 centimeter paper cut into 4 pieces, so you get a good amount out of a piece of paper. But let me just show you how I made the corner pieces for this. Like I said, I just used some paper that was the 7.5 by 7.5, so it's just a quarter of a piece of paper. And I just used yellow just for fun, just to kind of make it look kind of cool. But let me show you guys how it looks. I'm just going to use some origami paper here as I show you guys how to do this. But cut my paper into fourths. What I did was I just took a box and smushed it down so that it would become a quarter piece, a corner kind of. So let me first start off with the paper size that I need here. So I have my paper, and I just make a box real simply. So you just fold in half, open it up, and fold it in half again. And then take each of the 4 corners and fold it to the center. and then take two of the sides and fold it towards the center here. Open it up, take these points and pop it all the way out. Take this tip and fold it back to the edge, and then fold this up towards the center. Try to keep everything lined up with the creases if you can here. Make it straighter. And I'll do the same thing on this side too. Then you could take everything here, stand the sides up for this side, and you've already got the diagonal creases here, so you can fold this in and wrap this around to create the edge of your box, and then do the other side too. So it's all basic box origami, just like we've been doing for every other part of it. Now, what I decided to do here is just put a little pressure on one corner. And this can be a little scary because you're basically smushing everything you just made. And you just have to trust yourself that you can then reform things when you're done. So I'm just choosing one of these corners, doesn't matter which one. But I'm going to push in, and this center crease that you see that's diagonal is going to become the edge of everything that I'm working with. So I've got this point of pressure. It's pretty hard, but you're just going to push it, smush it in like that. See, that looks really ugly, I know. But if we start working with this and pushing it in, you can really get a nice, smooth, cleaned out edge. We're going to have the corner here and the edge of the top. You can crease those off. Get a nice little triangular corner piece, and it doesn't even really look that bad now once I've smushed it all in there. So you get a nice little corner piece here, which it looks like a cool little edging for boxes and stuff. So, and it gives you a little bit of reinforcement. And then I just went ahead and added that to this and just put it on so that, you know, the place I was looking at most, the front, looked the coolest, so I wanted to have a little triangular piece there. And when I do this, I just went ahead and put a little bit of glue on the edge of the things here so that it will fit. And you really don't need a lot. You don't want to go far because you don't want the glue sticking out. But I did want a little bit of glue to really hold on to it if I could, so that I can get it to line up well here. And it's really just about being decoration. So you could also use double-sided tape, would work really well. But you can kind of see how that just adds that little extra piece. And it looks kind of like real boxes do, or real treasure boxes, with it being kind of removed from everything. So I kind of thought that would look kind of cool. So I just made that 8 times and put it on the bottom 4 corners and the top 4 corners so that you could create this kind of box. And that's kind of the way things looked there. And then for the clasp area, I just kind of goofed around and made my own thing. Now, it's really simplistic. It's just rectangular in shape. You could make it all scalloped edges and look really cool, like a real latch system if you wanted to. But I'll just show you what I did to make it if you're interested in replicating it. I started off with a piece of 15 by 15 centimeter paper, and I cut it into quarter strips. And I only need 2. I don't need all of them, but I'm just going to take one here and cut both of these. And there's certainly lots of different ways you could do this. You could change it up. You don't need to make it as bulky as I made mine. I kind of wanted it to be really like visible. So I've got one of these quarter strips, and just to remind myself, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of fold up here so that I get the same width, just creating kind of a square feel to things. And what I wanted was, I'm going to create the bottom part first. I have this part here that I folded over this square section. That's going to be the part I'm going to glue to the box. And then I want to have a little extra here in the middle that I can smush together and create the part that sticks out. And then I'm just going to have a little bit extra here wrap around so that I can have something to glue it all together. And I just kind of played it by ear, to be honest. It's not really anything fancy in terms of math. But once I knew maybe how much I needed, I just went ahead and folded this part first and then cut this part here. Just giving myself a little bit of room. And then I just put some glue on all of this so that it can go around the edge that I need it to. And in this case, I want just this part to glue down first. And then this part to pop up and create my center. And, you know, I just kind of let it come together naturally by bringing it together a little bit there in the middle. And then you just kind of pinch it off with the glue, push it to the left and the right, and you wind up getting just a nice little section here that sticks out that can serve as like a latch. And then to just make it a little easier so it doesn't get stuck, I rounded out the edges by cutting this just off a little bit here and on the other side too, so that it gives just a little smoother surface so that it has a better go of sliding into the hole. And then I just glued that to the bottom part right in the middle. And there's a center line here that you can use to kind of use as a guide for doing this, but I just kind of lined it up here as best I could to create sort of the latch part there at the bottom. And then I took the other strip that I had, and I wanted to, of course, create something that had a little bit that connected at the top, and then the rest would cover over this part here. And I just, you know, gave myself a little extra, and I didn't really give myself much room. I think I cut it a little short on mine, but you want to give yourself a little room here, and then just kind of fold down so that you know where you're going to be connecting to the top part of the lid. And then I just gave myself a little bit of space here. You can play around with how much space you wanted. I made it a little thick so that I could see things. But again, it's just really, you know, point of preference of how you want to make things look. But I've got this part done now, so that basically what I'm doing is going to be connecting this part that I just folded over here, and then it can fold down over everything with the hole in the middle and be able to still slide through. Now, making the hole in the middle is pretty easy because all you need to do is make sure that you've got the distance already. And I know, because this is the top edge of my box, I want it to be, like I said, just right down to right about here. And so then what I did was I just folded things in half here and gave myself a little, that extra amount of space that I had. And then you can kind of just cut it in half. And I found the middle point by folding it. So I'm just going to be cutting right along the center point to where I folded up. And just as a reminder, that doesn't go all the way to the tip here. Gives us a little room. It should give us what we need. And you should be able to still, let's see here, let's make sure it's enough. Should be able to pull through. It's a little tight. I'm going to go ahead and just cut a little bit, trim a little bit more down so that you get some space so that this can just slide right through real easily. Yeah, there we go. And then that gives you this top part to glue to the other side as a flap. And like I said, this is pretty flimsy for a clasp. You know, if you wanted to reinforce it with 2 layers of paper, or you know, use some thicker paper that you might have, that's fine too. I probably should have maybe doubled up my paper or something, or so that I could have a little stronger base. And it is a pretty simple design. It's just just sharp edges there. If you prefer, you could make it look kind of cool, put some extra decoration on it. But then you can see here, this part then just slides down real easily and creates a clasp closure for your treasure box. And it gives you kind of a little finished piece there with that. So those are kind of the steps I took for creating my treasure box. And then, you know, like I said, I put some medallions inside to create, you know, the finished look of things. But I really think this is a project you can have a lot of fun with. You can use a lot of different paper, a lot of different techniques, make different things in here. You could fill this up with, you know, candy. You could use really pretty jewel colored paper and make balloons and stuff. origami balloons so that they're all, blown up in here and look like jewels and gems. That kind of thing would look really cool. Certainly if you had the time, just make a whole bunch of these. You don't even need to have this base down here. And this kind of looks a little sad. I should probably have a few more in there, but I got tired of making them. But it's just a fun kind of variation. Just shows, how you can use so many different techniques to create different shapes of boxes, just still using, just like I said, a square sheet of paper, but still gives you this nice lid and the bottom part too, even though it was the same size paper that I used for both of those. So just one of many ways that you can kind of play around with basic origami, box origami, to make something fun. I'll have some more fun projects to share with you guys in the days to come. Thanks again always so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye!